Is this working? That's the question. So let me know if you guys can hear me. I ended up I don't know what happened with my computer. So the program that you need to live stream on YouTube, or one of the programs you can use, it was not playing ball, and my computer was very slow, but I think we figured it out. So let me know if you guys can see me and hear me. I guess we can do a sound check with this. I swear, Coke should give me a paid promotion or something. Wouldn't that be cool to get those? I don't know. Alright. Krampus is here. Right, Krampus? So if you hear that, which is him scratching at this chair, which is why it looks like this, that's the old Krampy baby. So, thank you, Krampus. It's always a pleasure. Alrighty. How are you guys doing these days? I didn't know Lee was a corporate sellout. Hey, if someone's gonna pay me for something I'm already drinking, you know what I mean? I like the product. I get it for free or get something paid. I mean, that I don't see how that's a sellout. I would think it's a sellout if you're doing, like, you would change your stream to focus on the product, or if you don't actually like the product or use the product. But otherwise, you know what I mean? I don't think just receiving money from a company would make you a corporate sellout. Just had forgotten to notify one person. That person usually prefers a side messaging system. We are live now. I just realized I had forgotten to add them. All right. Hopefully, somehow all of my notifications and things got turned on. I really hope that we're not going to hear a big old ping in the middle. I think I got it all taken care of, but that is it. All right. I'm blinding you with what? Is there too much glare off of my glasses? I try to keep the tinted glasses for migraines. R. Kelly tried that in court. It didn't work as a defense. I don't know what kind of joke you're making. I don't. If you're trying to be edgy, I don't know. I've been awake since like 3:00 this morning, so my ability to catch sarcasm via text or references to celebrities that I'm not familiar with, I'm sorry. There's no joke or fun to be had with that. All right, so we'll catch you guys up. No, not you, Rank Zero. I was talking about optimistically cynical. I just didn't get what they were referring to. Yeah, if there was a large like Coca-Cola thing, or if I had to like hold the product a certain way while I was drinking or something, you know, just to get the product like in there. I don't mind covering it with my hand. So, but yeah, it's too complicated. I understand. It's just like I said, it's not that time. Yeah, let's go to Jesus Camp. Okay. Now I think we had stopped in the middle here where what's her name, Pastor Becky was. If my voice is a little crunchy, I'm not in. You know, I'm still recovering, but as I'm off the medication and stuff for what was happening last week, bacterial infection. So exciting. So we're just going to kind of review that because it goes into the next portion, or the next segment of it, which is the Christian but not evangelical radio personality. It's pretty much done after that. There's sort of a final say from Pastor Becky, and then we're going to check out where they are now, including some videos. So I thought we could just check those out. All right. Yeah, have a good one, Optimistically Cynical. If you're unable to join us, you could always catch this later. All right. Can we hear this?
Be a mighty warrior for God.
Be a mighty warrior for God.
Stand right there. Here you go, Joseph.
Okay, it's as loud as it can get. And what she's doing right now is she's reviewing this part where this, I guess an elder in the church, we're not really sure what his job is, if he's a deacon or whatever. He was talking to the student, or the congregation youth group, I guess the youth congregation, we would call it, about the whole abortion concept. So she's just kind of reviewing this. Okay, so we can kind of maybe zoom through this a little bit. Well, we don't want the subtitle thing. What are we doing? Playback speed. Okay.
Some extreme liberals, they have to look at.
Now I know that not everybody is able to catch everything she's saying. The reason I'm speeding it up is because for those of you that weren't part of the previous live streams, the copyright will get kind of tripped. Then the live stream will end. It shows up again. It's like, oh, this was fair use, but we don't want to close it. Krampus, don't. You have been really testing my patience this morning, young man. He is just... Alrighty, so I will definitely provide like a recap of everything if this is too quick for you.
This and start shaking in their boots. The intensity that you see of these kids, there's no doubt they've got to be watching this and go, oh my goodness, I didn't know this was possible. What are these?
So they're talking about, she's talking about how this kind of dedication is supposed to make other people look and say, wow, I can't believe it. And I think this is her hope for the documentary and why she allowed the documentary to be done, was this idea that other people would look at it and say, wow, these kids are on fire for Christ. That's this very like specific term that evangelicals use. Krampus. I swear I'm going to kick this boy out. Krampus. He's going to knock something over. I'm so sorry, you guys. You'll have to just give me a second because he's attached himself to something. I will be right back. Krampus, you're going to have to go outside. Like outside. Bad boy outside. No other cats. Oh my goodness. Kitties, this is not it. Okay, you can get here. This is all you wanted. Come on. That's it. There it is. All right. That's it. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. I feel like one of those newscasters from home on Zoom and their kids run around and it's just like, great, fantastic. All right, so this idea here is that we're supposed to basically tremble and fear, but like in a holy way, like have a fear of God in a holy way, which was always described as not actually fear, but a deep level of respect. And so I said, well, how come they don't just use that word? You know, I wasn't trying to be argumentative. I just didn't understand, if we're not supposed to be scared of God, then why did they use that word instead of deep respect or reverence or something like that? And that's what they say they mean. Anyway, so the hope is that it will, basically all of us that maybe would disagree with it, we're all demonically possessed. That's the belief. And if we see something like this, the demon that possesses us will be so scared that it will either react strongly and need to be exorcised, or it will leave of its own volition. Honestly, it really reminds me of North Korea and how they have these incredibly pathetic People's Army kind of videos, and they talk about how, oh, the rest of the world will see this and tremble at, and the, you know, the USA, you know, this terrible force will fear us, and they know that we're ready, and, you know, most Americans can't even find North Korea on a map. You know what I mean? They don't see any of this stuff. All right. Let's see what you guys are saying. Lee being a teacher, even with the cat, I know. Gotta have the... Such a dork. What if Krampus attaches to something outside? He won't. There's not anything out there for him to attach to, thankfully. Cats seem to be most obnoxious when you're trying to do something, but will nap when you're doing nothing. Yeah, basically, that's it. They're also really good at waking you up when it's time to be fed. So that's exciting. They know that when I wake up in the morning, I feed them, but I woke up at 3 and I was like, I'm not going to encourage this time. So we're not getting fed until normal times. If Jesus came into my home, I would take him to a Nine Inch Nails concert, and then I'd take him home and put him up for a few nights. I feel like Jesus would be afraid of Nine Inch Nails. Thank you for joining us, Laser Stan. Yes, Lemon plays what Lemon wants to play. I love it. Yes, but where is the D&D reference coming from? Just like off the cuff? I didn't realize she was going to read about this conversation that isn't on point. I don't typically respond or try to get off topic. If you guys are talking to each other, that's fine. But, you know, the whole point of the live stream, I thought, was that you guys get to interact. If you don't want me to read your stuff, Josh, I will just not read your stuff. Okay? That makes it easier. Thank you. All right.
Like when they grow up. It's like animal rights people, eat your heart out. You know, you want to see intense.
Animal rights people, eat your heart out. You want to see intense.
You want to see kids passionate about Christ.
You want to see kids passionate about Christ. This is it. I think she's referring to PETA, that group. At this time, they were doing a lot of very eye-catching, I guess outrageous sort of demonstrations. And I guess that's what she wants. I don't know, but when she saw that, was she compelled to give up eating meat and dairy and eggs? Right? No. So why does she think that this kind of passion in some other thing is going to convince somebody else if she wasn't moved by this? You know what I mean? But again, the answer is because she has Jesus on her side, right? Let's see what you guys are. Let's see.
You know, and I have to believe with all my heart that this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Tip of the iceberg.
I believe those kids made an impact in heaven. God hears the cries of children.
That's a really strange statement, isn't it? I believe those kids made an impact in heaven. And God hears the cries of children. Are we talking about in heaven in the future? Because they convince people to convert? Are we talking about the belief that the aborted fetal cells or fetuses, their souls are in heaven and now they feel happy because the children recognize them? Is that what we're talking about? It's a very strange statement, even from like an ex-Pentecostal. And God hears the cries of children. Well, if we're all God's children, shouldn't he hear the cries of everybody? And then, of course, all of you are probably thinking, what about the cries of all the children that actually need help? And that aren't getting it. Let's see. Kids in heaven. Yeah, it's a very strange thing. Hi, Will Philippi. It's a show of faith, like a show of force, like when someone shows off how much money by wasting it. Look how strong my church is. They XYZ for the cause. It's hidden vanity. Yeah, I'd agree with that. But if she had just made that statement, I would totally agree. But the fact that she brought up this like outrageous demonstrations that were done by PETA at the time, and she wasn't moved by them. So she's bringing up, look at somebody else doing a very eye-catching, devout, quote-unquote, display, but that doesn't convince me. Oh, but when I do it, it'll convince everybody else. It's, I'm not saying I don't know why she says that. I know why she says that, but it's just very, very hypocritical, and Pastor Becky could use a little more introspection. Seeing the blatant brainwashing of children does not sway me. It makes me even more cynical about religion. Right. Apologia had a video recently about a Christian person who wanted 1 million Christians to view his video. And I had checked it out just to see what the comment section said on the original video. And a lot of it was just Christians, you know. And one of them was asking, you know, what can I do about my kid? They are atheists, blah, blah, blah. And there was all of these pray, 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 talk about the Bible, be a good example, whatever. And I said, you know, I'm an atheist. If you want to try it out on me because you're not emotionally attached to me, I'm not your child, please do. And so far, one person was like, thank you for offering, and then nobody took me up in the offer. If they need to know the audience. And I think that's a really good piece of advice anyway, is to know your audience. Know who you're trying to reach, basically. But I don't think she does. You know, her knowledge, in quotations, knowledge of atheists comes from what she interpreted out of the Bible and her own moving of the Spirit, which is another Pentecostal or evangelical phrase. And it just means her deep conviction. That's all it is. So, you know, imagine putting in all this effort and getting zero return for it, you know. Let's see what you guys are saying here. I always ask the Bible school teachers, at what age do kids start going to hell? I never got an answer. The answer I always had was if they are of the age of accountability, which can change by church, and that age is like age 8 for our church at that time. I don't know if it has changed, but it was basically the age when you recognize, I want to devote myself and the rest of my life to Christ, which of course an 8-year-old is perfectly capable of, you know, weighing all their options at that point, and so you can choose to get baptized and stuff. But if that child lives in an area where they cannot be exposed to Christianity for whatever reason, typically they cite very, very isolated tribes, then God shows himself in some other way, and the Great Spirit that they interpret, that's actually God. So whatever religion they have is actually God. And I got really sad about that, not for the kids, but for the targets of mission trips, because I was like, well, wait a minute, now we're making them go to hell. If they hear the message and disagree, wouldn't it be better for as many people to go to heaven as possible? And they said no, because it's better for somebody to live with Christ and then go to heaven than it is to live without Christ and still go to heaven. There was a way they phrased it that I kind of made sense, but I don't know. Let's see. I don't know why this blocked you rank 0, so I'm just gonna expose or unblock the message. Reminds me of the joke, abortion ensures babies go to heaven. Yeah, letting them be born means maybe they can sin and go to hell. Exactly. Or the other argument that Christians should support gay marriage, because if the argument is gay people can't reproduce, then gay people can't have abortions. So that, I don't know, that's such a silly one. Nationalist Christians or any religion are scary. They excuse the murder of other nations who believe in the same God at times because of where they live. Sometimes because they believe in their God in different ways. Right. I mean, it's just different sects of that, you know. So sad. If they don't understand me, how can they reach me? I guess they can't. I guess they won't. That's why I know my life is out of faith. Fool. Okay. I'm not sure who's the fool. I don't know why you would live your life out of faith, or if you're making fun of them. I'm not sure. If you can elaborate on that, the Aiden, that would be helpful. Speaking of can't reach me, when I was this week, I was yelled at in English to believe Jesus Christ, and then I was just like, I thought they would stop trying to badger me if I was just like, it's a superstition, just leave me alone kind of thing. So I was just like, it's a superstition in Korean. And the person just kept getting louder. And as I was walking away from that person, they kept screaming louder and louder. There were maybe 3 or 4 guys doing this. Nobody was yelling at the Korean people, which I thought was very strange, because this is an imported religion. And so to assume, because they assume I speak English, right? So to assume I'm from an English-speaking country and know less about Christianity than they do, I thought was like yelling at an Italian person and saying, hey, have you ever heard of pizza? You know, for like a Korean person trying to preach about the goodness of pizza or something. It's just very strange. Like, what would they hope to accomplish? And ultimately, it's just they want to feel good about themselves. The whole idea of preach the gospel to every creature, go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. There's a lot of belief in evangelical churches that merely exposing somebody to the word of God will get them to fall on their knees and repent, like immediately, as long as you do it with enough faith. And so that's kind of this idea here. People have heard it. We've all heard of the church that this happened, or this one student who started praying and then the whole classroom fell to their face and the teacher cried out and was delivered from a demonic possession or something, and everyone in the church is like, oh, amen. But nobody's ever actually had that happen. And of course everyone just says, oh, I wish I had that much faith. I wish, I could be somebody who could do that or something. So I think that's kind of the moment they're going for. I guess he had hoped that as he's screaming just the word repent over and over as I'm walking away, just trying to go to work in the morning, that somehow I would just collapse and like be slain in the spirit and suddenly anew. I don't know. Very know your audience. Yeah, that's all. Many Christians do not understand atheists. Very common assumption is that I became atheist because I went through hard times and am mad at God. Yeah, some of them will post stuff on my videos or other social media. They'll post something like, I'm sorry that the church hurt you. And I don't think they're being crappy about it. You know what I mean? But they'll say, I'm sorry that the church hurt you. That's not God or whatever. And it's just, I just reply, I never said the church hurt me. I loved my church. I loved it. I'm not mad at it. It provided a very strong social network for a person that's very isolated and had a hard time making friends. I loved my church. I realize now that there are a lot of behaviors that should not be around children. Like brainwashing type of stuff, not illegal type of stuff. But this idea that, oh, you were mad at God, you were mad at the church, you were mad at a specific Christian, so that's why you gave up Christianity. A lot of that is also, it sounds kind of like fake sympathy, but it's not. I mean, it is, but that's not what they're trying to get at. It's this belief that the only reason that atheists become atheists is because the Christians in their life have failed them. So it's another form of blaming the Christian. So there's all this guilt anyway as a Christian, and then you add more to it, like all of these atheists here are because the people like you were not faithful enough, and not only are some of you not winning souls for Christ, but some of you are turning souls away from Christ. So it was just another way to make you feel guilty, basically. After age 8, you can go to hell. I mean, have you met 9-year-olds? Oof. No one likes B tier heaven. Yeah, I guess not. Morning, Randall. Any Christian who is pro-life wants kids to go to hell. Yeah, in a way. Why doesn't the omnipotent God just convince everyone he exists? Every answer I receive with that question crumbles under scrutiny. I definitely agree. Obyung, thank you. I tried to go for like a 70s kind of look, but I don't know if I'm channeling I don't know. I don't know what I'm channeling. Premium heaven is better. Okay, I think you guys are making the heaven jokes, which is fine, but I don't have anything to add, so sorry. Why don't we leave children to make up their minds about their beliefs or lack thereof, as opposed to the practice of indoctrinating children and forcing the faith of the parents down their throats? There's two reasons for that. One of them really is they're not going to pick it up. There was a sect of Christianity I know about, I believe it was the Quakers. They would not allow children. They only accepted adults because they said you can convince a child of anything. So, a child being part of our ranks is meaningless because that child has never assessed the available data and made a conscious decision, an informed decision. So we only accept adults. And they went away. So, that's kind of how that happens. But the other thing is that if I really, really, really believe this is true, and I really, really, really believe that my children going to school is putting them at risk for spiritual warfare and spiritual attacks, those are their phrases they use, then I want to protect them with the armor of God. And how can I do that? I have to start young. So that's the reason. They don't do it out of hate for their kids. They do it because they really think they're doing the right thing. They're very wrong, but they do it because they don't want their kid to go to hell, and they think this is the best way to do it. You watched that? I'm sorry. Watched which one? Are we talking about Jesus Camp, or did I mention something that I forgot? Fall to my knees to get them to stop yelling, maybe. Maybe. Can you imagine if I just, collapsed just to see what they would do? A lot of chick tracts follow that pattern, but Jesus, okay, I repent. Yeah, I was thinking to do the chick tracts. I wasn't sure, because I know that the Bible Reloaded did them, and I didn't want to just do the same thing. But I don't know if you guys would be interested in chick tracts, so let me know. Religions are cults that show nothing but hatred and intolerance. I have to go with Telltale Atheist on this one about cults. We can't just say all religions are cults or cults are all religious, because there's other types of cults. And there's other religions that are, they're a religion because there's a deity belief and stuff, but there's no negative repercussions. It's well, if you don't get it, that's okay, and we're just channeling this whatever. So something like that wouldn't really fit in with the definition of a cult. Yeah, let's just go through the rest of these real quick. It's people wanting to feel like they're part of something, not being the oddball, so they fall to their knees with everyone else or faint when the pastor puts his hand on their forehead. I think that can be true for some people, but in cases like myself, you are in such I call it a religious frenzy or a spiritual frenzy, that you believe this is going to happen, and you believe it so hard that when it does happen, your body just reacts. That's it. So I never fell to make it look good, or because I felt out of place. I knew not to do that. That if I was we were just kind of, during the worship services at our church, you just kind of did what you wanted to do. You could sit down and pray, you could stand up, you can walk around, lie down on the ground, cry with other people. They were just very free form. So there was no pressure in that sense to perform. The way that I started speaking in tongues, that beginning was pressure, but because it was approved of by an adult that I trusted, I thought, okay, this must be it. I guess I can just do it. So I didn't think I was lying. I thought, oh, okay, well, they know better than I know, so I guess that's it. But yeah, there's people that just really believe this stuff, man. It's really amazing what the brain can do. Let's see. Similar practice in Islam. Muslims believe that if you recite the Quran beautifully in front of a non-Muslim, they will instantly collapse out of affection. I've heard of that. So I've read the Quran because after I left Christianity, then that's the next logical step is Islam, I think. And I learned that as long as you expose people to it, especially in Arabic, which is why even though the person that you're speaking to might not know any Arabic, the person who's reciting the Quran might not know any Arabic either, but they've memorized sections of it in Arabic. And so they'll recite it to you. So they'll say something, and then they'll try to explain a verse, but they'll say it in Arabic first. It's this belief that as long as they did it the right, bestest way, it'll immediately like crash into your heart and just open you to Allah. Let's see. Oh, that's the reason. Sorry. I think I'm gonna have to remove the comments. Sorry. Hopefully you can just remove the comment, not the person. Just got to be careful with our language. It has to be minor friendly. But basically what the person was saying is that this is a Christians, if they say they're pro-life, just say they're anti-choice. They're not pro-life, they're pro-capital punishment. Not all of them are, many of them are. But they believe that their argument is we should give everyone a chance, and if you blow that chance, then it's okay to kill you. Let's see how many more. We're gonna put these I'm gonna highlight where we're gonna stop so we can start some of the video again, and then get to your guys' comments.
Makes me want to cry.
Okay, got our train. So this is the radio call-in show.
North Dakota. She's a children's pastor, and she runs a summer camp for evangelical children there in North Dakota. Becky, how are you?
I'm doing very good.
Why kids?
Okay, so again, this guy is not evangelical. He's very against religion in the government, even though he's Christian. So he has a Christian broadcasting thing. Pastor Becky is our Pentecostal pastor. So now they're going to have this discussion.
So why are they supposed to be some new army of God? Why are we using kids to do that?
Yeah.
It doesn't even work with kids knows it because the reason you go for kids is because whatever they learn by the time they're 7, 8, 9 years old is pretty well there for the rest of their lives. So this is
Okay, so that's part of it. So aside from, the other reasons we talked about, the reason you would target children is that once they believe something, a lot of people, I don't know how true it is these days because of the more, we're more connected and we can meet other types of people. But then again, a lot of people tend to kind of close themselves into an echo chamber online. So I'm not sure if the statistics have been updated since 2006, but this belief is from the Bible: train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he's older he will not depart from it. But it's also kind of backed up in some statistics that a lot of your behaviors, they are, or it's shown that a lot of the behaviors are, they can start in later childhood and will continue through adulthood. However, it's not about what you indoctrinate a child necessarily. It's usually in the sense of the child's personality traits will start showing up, and those will tend to continue into adulthood. So a child who is impulsive might be impulsive as an adult. So kids tend to be impulsive, but we're talking about like unusually impulsive. A child who is shy, naturally shy, not scared, just kind of shy, kind of standoffish, that's typically the person they're going to be as they get older. And so I'm not sure if that's what Pastor Becky is kind of thinking. I think a lot of the churches are losing members with the more information that's available, because all the questions that we were told to have no answer do have an answer, except for what caused the Big Bang or something, or abiogenesis. Some of those questions, of course, we're still trying to find out, but stuff like, oh yeah, there's no proof for evolution, it takes more faith to believe in that than it does to believe in God. Well, there is proof for it. There is evidence for it, So it's, yeah. Let's see what else she's gonna say.
that you can research for yourself.
No, I know these statistics, but you use the term learn. The word learn is different than indoctrinate.
Yeah,
God gave us a brain.
that's true.
God gave us the freedom to choose.
Okay.
And learning is part of that choice. And I think every time the fundamentalist movement, Becky, interferes with that, we're doing harm. We're doing harm to the progression of mankind.
Okay, that's interesting. What do you guys think of that statement? So I will address the live chat right now. But while I'm doing that, you guys can talk about that. What do you think of this idea from his Christian perspective? God gave us a brain, God gave us freedom of choice, and when you indoctrinate a child, you are actually violating their God-given free will. So we're not going to talk about whether we believe free will exists. We're just going to talk about kind of his position. Okay. I defend small churches when people attack religion as a whole. I think small churches build community. Oh, my church was not a small church. But we were just, yeah, I don't know. I just liked the church. I was very involved in it. I was there multiple times throughout the week. I was on the worship team for the youth group and the main services, so. I'm agnostic. I want proof, but it does do a lot of good in areas without demands. Are you agnostic atheist or agnostic theist? Engage, super chat, you nerd. Is it not engaged? How do I never turned it on or off in the past, so I don't know what is this even, how to even set it. I'm not sure. I guess you can join my Patreon if you want to give me money, which is great, but is there a way to do this? I'm not 100%. Monetization, maybe that's what it is. It says off, but on. I don't want to put ads on it. Let me see. Let's try this. So it's on. We're not doing ads. Types of ads. Okay. So I didn't put any ads. No, it says display ads. I don't want those on. It doesn't say anything about Super Chat though. I don't know what that's about. I don't know. Maybe I'll make a PayPal or something for you guys. But thank you that you want to donate. If you can't, you can donate to, there's a charity that I donate to. It's for getting help for people who have albinism in sub-Saharan Africa. So if you can donate to any of those charities like Killasun or something like that, they give them protective clothing, big hats, educate the communities because unfortunately they're targeted for like potions and stuff, this like type of old magic, and they also provide like SPF creams, educational supplements to like glasses and stuff, because if you have albinism your eyesight tends to not be the best. So why don't you do maybe that would be better. Yeah. Some chick tracts are pretty out there. Maybe not every chick tract. The odd ones, to be sure. I also like the Dark Dungeons movie. Oh my god. Can we not? Is it okay to believe in God but pray to a pastor for practical reasons? Yeah, right? I don't understand how a parent could think a God could send a child to hell and that person's a great God. It's a lot of kind of double think. But mostly those kinds of questions. It's God works in mysterious ways, or who am I to question God? Who are you to question God? So those are sort of the responses. Yeah. Love the glasses thing. I don't know about blue, but we're giving it a go sometimes. Let's see. The truth value of evolution is irrelevant to whether there is a God. Exactly. And that's what they kind of don't address, right? When you ask for, why we should believe, you already know why you should believe. You have personal experience, and all of this other stuff that actually doesn't provide any evidence for God, doesn't convince anybody outside of the church already. It's just there. It's just fluff. And it's a lie. That's what's so frustrating. Let's see. From a country, 80% atheist. People live the longest here apart from Japan. Sweden, by the way, you're the third Swedish person that we have here. I have visited Sweden. It was very nice, very quiet. It's very nice, quiet, and clean. Haven't been seeing me for a while. Yeah, not sure about that, but how you doing, Royal Dear? I like what the chill Christian is saying, but if both of them are using the Bible as a starting point, the Pentecostal preacher is right. I agree, right? Because that's what the Bible says. Train up a child in the way that they should go, and when he's older, then he will not depart from it. You can't really argue that and say, oh, we shouldn't indoctrinate kids. It literally says do that, you know. So we can agree that it's nice, but then on what level, you know? If we're trying to come at it from a Christian perspective, he's biblically wrong. Let's see. Cherry pick the crazy ones. Those are pretty entertaining. That's what I was wondering. Yeah. If you've got any favorites, you can send it over to my Discord. Which I should probably. I never get this link ready. Yeah, but just go ahead and send it to the Discord. Let me edit the invite link because it always gives it this automatically expire. Why? Why not start with like don't expire? That's not a normal thing for someone to expect from a link, you know. Yeah, he's definitely in the wrong for sure. But let's see what Pastor Becky has to say.
Think any child gets anything by choice. As I understood your question to me was, do you feel it's right for the fundamentalists to indoctrinate their children with their own beliefs? I guess fundamentally, yes, I do. Because every other religion is indoctrinating their kids. Hello, I would like to see.
Okay, that was a turn I didn't expect. I thought she was going to say it's okay for me to indoctrinate the children with my beliefs because my beliefs are right, biblical, whatever. But her argument was it's okay for me to do it because other people are doing it. Ooh. Bad, Pastor Becky, bad. What a bad argument. I hate it when the Muslims do it, so I'm going to do it to these kids. What, you know. Hi, Shuggle. Great to see you again as well. Let's see what we got. Wants to see more.
Just like I said, you can tell a child, you can make a child into a soldier that carries an AK-47.
That's true.
They call it brainwashing, but I am radical and passionate in teaching children about their responsibility as Christians, as God-fearing people, as Americans, if you want to say.
As Americans, if you want to say that. So she's passionate about teaching kids. I think one of the reasons she's passionate about it is, you know, they don't tend to come at you very critically. And I think maybe she just likes that style of preaching, you know. There's a different way to preach to adults and to children. You know, for whatever reason, she enjoys that. I don't think it ever mentions if Pastor Becky has kids of her own. So I don't know if she's only doing this at church or if she's also doing this in her own home. Let's see. Yeah, it's the whole belief that the other side is doing it. We need to do it. Politics, religion, life. The worst of us think that everyone is like them. It is kind of funny, right? It's the people that they kind of out themselves as, yeah, it's totally normal to think this way. Everybody thinks this way, and everybody in the room is looking at them like, why did you just say such a weird thing? Nobody else thinks that. Yeah. I've been in some very uncomfortable conversations because one person said some very uncomfortable thing and everybody looked at that person and the person says something, you know, to the effect of, well, you know, I'm just saying what we're all thinking. And all of us were like, you think that? Like, none of us think that. What are you talking about? And the person thought that we were lying to make them look bad. So there's, you know, mental illnesses and stuff that can encourage something like that, that type of thinking. But I think people that are just not very critical can also fall into that type of thinking. Let's see. Xander Cruz. They also have atheist camps where you can get brainwashed to be woke. Pretty much the same thing. If you want to have a conversation with those people, go find those people. I've never even heard of an atheist camp. So I don't know if you're like your edgy zingers aren't like they don't work here. Yeah. So if all you want to do in the future is just kind of, you know, if all you're doing here is just trying to be like, oh, atheist, then don't goodbye. You know, if you want to actually have a conversation, yes, and of course you can have differing opinions, and that's what we want. We want this conversation. We want this kind of critical thinking, this analysis of beliefs and stuff. But if you're just here to like mock a caricature of an atheist instead of talking to the atheists that are actually in front of you, well, it's a waste of everybody's time. Let's see. Let's see. Does the fear of hell ever totally disappear? It does for me, but I've also noticed that my thinking tends to be, I don't know if the word rigid is what I want to say, but there's a lot of stuff that, like, if I decide this thing is not true, the emotion that's attached to it will, like, turn off, if that makes sense. If I'm worried about running late to work is going to make me fired or something, and then I tell myself, well, wait a minute, other people are late to work and they don't get fired, therefore I'm not going to get fired, that anxiety just turns off. So once I realize that there's no evidence for any hell, and I don't worry about any other hells, why worry about it, that turned off for me. But I think for a lot of people, there is a residual feeling of it. I've heard people ask this question a lot. I've heard places like the Atheist Experience address that as well. And I think better would be a place like Freedom from Religion. The only kind of experience of stuff like that I have, of those like nagging thoughts, those are about other things. And those are things like my rational mind tends to not be able to outthink. So they're irrational thoughts, and I know they're irrational thoughts, and I've got ways to deal with it. I don't know if they're going to work for other people, though. But for me, I don't feel like I can give a lot of support in that way. So I think a foundation or a group like Freedom from Religion is probably a better place if you're having that fear. Let's see. Is the reason for Copts, Antiochans, Syrian Orthodox, and Eastern Christians I've met. We don't know how the Western Church has its current hue. In which way? Atheist camps are libraries and museums. The woke camps where they're taught everyone is equal. Oh dear. Let's see. I can do it because everyone else is doing it. That's very childish. It's very childish, but also, what a waste of time. You're not doing anything meaningful. At least here, it's not like I'm changing the world with these live streams, but at least here, I'm getting something out of it. You guys are getting something out of it, and we're getting something out of it. Maybe Pastor Becky's getting something out of it, I guess, but her goal is to change the world. That's not my goal. Right? She really believes she can change the world, and she's just not going about it the right way, If I'm playing in the sand at the beach, that's fine and that's fun and I'm entertaining myself, but if I'm playing in the sand with the goal of building a skyscraper, I'm not doing what I need to do to achieve my goal. That's kind of what I'm meaning here. Let's see. John Lennon, later 60s look with this stream. Yeah, I was going for a kind of late 60s, early 70s kind of look. But I didn't have the frostiest lipstick, so I didn't want to just go for that. Your brain's either convinced or not. Your beliefs are not a choice. If a benevolent God exists, it would never punish someone for non-belief. On top of that, the God of Yahweh, and that includes Allah, that God hardens people's hearts. So not only are you punished for non-belief, but the reason you don't believe is because the God turned off your ability to believe. That's horrible. Can you imagine your teacher telling everybody else there's an exam and they need to show up at this time and date, but not telling you, and then berating you and giving you a 0 and saying, how dare you, you didn't show up, and you get a 0. Well, you never told me. Nobody ever told me. Well, that's because I didn't think you were worthy, and so here's your 0. Like, that's not fair. We wouldn't accept that from any other setup. So why would we accept that for what people believe is the most important setup? I personally would love a God that gives me 80 years to worship them, or I exist in oblivion for the rest of eternity. I think we would have to make sure that God exists first, right? I'm atheist, not sure where you're coming from there. Just saying there are atheist camps that do this, not making it up or trolling. It's a fact I found interesting. I mean, if you want to talk about it, okay. Good grief, people here have been 5 minutes and been called a Nazi twice, suspected as a troll. You guys are a real accepting bunch. You know, Xander, you can't come in with a statement that has nothing to do with anything. And then when people say, wow, here's another troll, I wasn't trolling. You know, that's not what we're doing. You know, if you're gonna act a fool, you're gonna be treated foolishly. You know what I mean? Of course, you know, we want to treat you with respect, but we also don't want to take you as seriously as you wish for people to take you, especially if you are trolling. You know, if your arguments aren't serious, then they're not serious. But again, go have a discussion with those people. Or give us an example of an atheist camp. Give us a name or at least a place or what they teach or something like that. Try to have a conversation. You know, you're just kind of like, it's like when somebody farts in an elevator and leaves. Like, that's kind of what you're doing through text. Honestly, don't remember fearing hell growing up in a Catholic family, but I don't know if I ever really believed in it in the first place. Oh, that's interesting. There was a show called Bless Me Father, which was about like a priest and his apprentice, and they just would, it was, I don't know, it was sort of, I guess kind of a sitcom, I guess. And there was this episode about hell, and the nuns were having some issues about stuff, and this guy was dying, his wife wanted him buried in a Catholic burial, and there was this, you know, a lot of just kind of contradicting information about this idea of hell, where they all kind of agreed they believed it, but also that it was an awful concept. And so at the end, the apprentice asked the priest, he says, Father, do you believe in hell? And he says, absolutely. But something along the lines of, but you can bet with a loving God, there's not a soul in there. And I thought, okay, that's an interesting way to answer that question. So maybe that's what you had kind of felt. Let's see. Miss Lemon don't care about that. Yeah, I know, right? Never heard of an atheist camp. Neither have I. I really haven't. And then, like, the buzzword woke was thrown in there, you know? I mean, this is like I said, it sounds like troll bait. And then, oh, I'm not a troll. Why is everyone treating me like a troll? Maybe use your words. That might be it. You should look up Blood Omen or Soul Reaver stories from games. Oh, okay. That sounds cool, but yeah, different. How does he even find a stream having these conversations? Then he became the victim as fast as possible. Yeah, I'm not sure. Probably follows me on some other thing, or because of the tags, it gets says like there's someone streaming now, and they have tags that are relevant to other stuff you look at. Let's see. How God commands a child who was designed to not be able to tell right from wrong and then punish that child. Right. I live in a Muslim country, Turkey to be honest, and I asked the same question to teachers, Allah locking your heart, and they just evade the questions with that. We can't be sure what God thinks exactly. It's the same religion, same coloring book, different colors. You know what I mean? That's kind of the thing. Anyways, not that interesting. Okay, Xander, bye. You know, what are we gonna tell us that we hate everybody and then leave? Like, there's literally memes about what you're doing. You know, well, you guys don't like me. Well, I don't like you either. Like that, and then you say you're not trolling. Sir. Where does this prayer come from? Lord, if I worship you from fear of hell, cast me into it. If I worship you from desire of heaven, deny me that. I don't know. I have actually never heard that. So if anybody else can answer Todd, that's fine. Damn, you're literally the only one who hasn't been engaging in super chat. I don't know why it's not on. Yeah, I don't know. Plus, I think it's just better if I set some other donation thing up, or if you just donate to like a charity, you know, on my behalf or something. Just because YouTube, they don't release the money until it hits a certain level. So I think it's something like $150 US. So if I get super chats up to $140, they will not cut me a check. And then eventually when I get up to 150, then they'll send me my money. And I think they take a certain percentage and stuff. It's just, It's annoying. Why don't they just put it in my account? I don't know. Are you still in the Asian country you used to live in? Yes. Let's see. Yeah, it is wrong. That's why maybe I have turned it off. I don't remember doing it, but if I had turned it off, that would be why. Yeah. All right. Becky, let me ask you this.
That all of a sudden we're creating children soldiers for the Republican Party. How does that figure into anything that Christ had to say about how we should live our life on the earth?
I'm not sure. I am not aware of any churches that are out there with a political cause.
I'm not sure of any churches that are out there with a political cost. I mean, she is a church that's out there with. They went to D.C. Like they went to the White House to stand there protesting.
I'm not going after my kids politically, but that because of the same.
I'm not going after my kids politically. The reason that I'm pausing is I'm trying to think, like, if I was still Pentecostal, what would I be thinking? Is this a Pentecostal thing, or is this like Becky on her own has her own issues? You know what I mean? From a Pentecostal perspective, politics comes out of, like, the way that you would approach politics will come out of the way that you believe in a religion. But that's all I can think of, that I'm training them to be religious, and as a byproduct, they're also politically active, as they should be, but I'm not training them to be politically active. That's the, like, Pentecostal thought process there. Let's see. Okay, Xander, all you're doing is, I mean, you're literally just trolling. So I think, yeah, bye. You know, if you didn't like it and it's uninteresting, then just go away. You know, why? Like, there's such little time on this earth. Why would you spend it doing something you hate? Right? And that's the same thing. I'm not going to waste more time on this person. Give them enough time to really prove that they're not here to actually have a legitimate conversation, and then just kick them out. I don't, life's too short. You guys know I got medical problems and stuff. My body already stresses me out enough. Don't need to waste more time on other things that are just uninteresting and whatever, you know. If it's not interesting, go away, you know. I do recommend that, by the way. If you're just not interested in something, just go, you know. Just go. Don't argue with a bunch of people on the internet if it's not something that you find personally enriching and you get really stressed about it and you're constantly checking, you know, for updates and refreshing the page and stuff. If you're getting that kind of frustrated feeling, just take a break. I used to do that, and I felt like, I don't know, I was just mad. I don't know how to describe the feeling. I guess I thought I was making a point or being, like, had to defend myself, and I mean, who cares? You know, in 10 years, is this going to matter? No. Let's see. Not political. She only thinks politics is voting on a party. Yeah, that's true. So, water flows. If you want to contact me on the Discord, you can. I'm on Kakao Talk, but I'm not sure. I don't have time for this. I'm not getting paid overtime here. Yeah, right. You know, it's not like he's handing me a bunch of super chats and nothing, right? I think that might have been one of the other reasons to get rid of it. I didn't want to entertain things that shouldn't be entertained, and then I would feel guilty that, oh, I took that person's money, but I received money but didn't provide the service by reading whatever it was or something. So there's just so many reasons not to do the super chats here. The question that you have here, I am gonna answer that well, I guess we can answer it here. It is kind of related to this politics thing we're talking about. Yeah, this is an old channel. It's been around since 2012, if I remember correctly. So one of the questions here is, as an aside, why does it feel like atheists are overwhelmingly blue, patriot, pro-America, pro-military, pro-gun, abortion, ambivalent? Somehow that's the wrong think. It's just something I noticed. I think it depends on the person. And for a lot of atheists, they become atheists because they scrutinizing, or they leave their religion, I should say, because they scrutinized this deeply held belief. And a lot of this other stuff is a deeply held belief as well. And so they start to scrutinize it, you know. I mean, I'm a veteran, and I'm not just blanket statement pro-military. Do you know what I mean? And if someone thanks me for my service, I say, don't thank me. You don't even know what I did. You know, oh, well, you signed up to serve, you know, to protect America. No, I didn't. You don't know why I signed up. I could have signed up because I wanted a free fitness camp. You know what I mean? You know, you don't know why I signed up, right? So I just tell people, don't thank me. Like, I didn't do anything for you. I didn't sign up for you. You know, there's no reason to just have that knee-jerk kind of reaction. Being pro-America, why? What's so special about that one country that you happen to live in? You know, so that's those things you start to analyze. And so I think a lot of some of those beliefs, they don't really hold up to that analysis, you know? Is it worth this, or what evidence do I have to justify this feeling or this belief or this way that I vote? So I think that's why a lot of them are quite blue. That's all I can guess. I'm, just for the record, very against political parties, putting people into different groups. That we don't want to do that, because that colors how they vote. I wish they would delete political parties and just have people talk about the issues. I'm very against political parties. Let's see. I remember seeing Campus Crusade for Christ and other groups, real strong Republican leaning, and looked at Democrats as suspect, but never understood why. A lot of the beliefs that those types of Campus Crusade for Christ evangelical Christians have, it's like Pastor Becky. Anybody who's not with us is against us. Anyone who is not with Jesus is with Satan. So if we're with Jesus, and they're not with us, therefore they're with Satan. That's this kind of idea. So, let's see. Thanks for the food, Lee. What for? I don't cook. See, that's the thing. If I gave you the food, right? But yeah, if you over there, Sugar, are hanging out at home and you ordered or made your own food, and you're like, thank you for your service in, I don't know, the meat packing industry or something in a different country. You know what I mean? It's like, okay. Let's see. Don't stop, you nerd. I'm sorry, the whole point too, this is the live stream, is to discuss while we're doing it, yeah. Too much division. I don't want to be the center of attention. Hashtag don't know what that's about. I don't know if I would say most of them are middle ground. For people that do a lot of analysis, if that's what you mean by smart individuals. I think for some people they say I'm centrist just so they can just, I don't know. There's a meme called hot centrist take, which is like, oh, well, they have this idea and they have this idea and nobody's wrong. I won't agree with that. I think there's does this benefit the society or does it not? You know, what is the ultimate benefit to society? And there's things that benefit society that are really against a lot of the, you know, emotions that I have. But I can't vote that way. You know what I mean? I had 4K subs for like 5 years, yet you made sense. Thank you. I think I just don't make very flashy videos. Yeah. Alright, so we're gonna stop on that comment and then start up the video again and then start from that comment again. Okay. So yeah, we're not political, but I don't have a problem telling them we're pro-life. Okay. So God is watching us. Here comes I love it. I love it because, well, let's finish and see what he's saying.
Yes, God has a very special place for those people who mess with our children. It's not a pretty.
You see what happened? Instead of arguing what she said, he just went for the threat of hell to another Christian. Oh my God. I mean, there's nothing to add.
You know, what's always made this country special, what's always set this country apart, is because there is something that we call a separation between church and state.
Okay, so a lot of, if you're from another country that's not the United States, and you have a secular government, and you're wondering, why does he think the only country in the world where there's a separation between church and state is the United States. It's because that's what we're taught. We're also taught we're the only nation with freedom of speech. We're the only nation where we have a free press to some extent, but yeah, free speech and separation of church and state. We're the only ones that do that. We're the only ones that care about personal freedom. That's what we're just taught.
That's always something that separates us and has separated us for 200 years. It has worked. I respect
See
your
that.
right as a fundamentalist to teach your children whatever you want to teach them.
Okay.
But don't let that bleed over into the public sector. Don't let that.
So then, but how does it not? So from a Pentecostal perspective, how am I supposed to teach the kids, train them up in the way that they should go so that when they're older, they don't depart from it, and then that doesn't leak into politics, which is something that is part of their life when they get older? How do you do that, right? So you have to go back and say, okay, instead of teaching them what you believe, you have to teach them how to navigate this world. You teach them how to think, not what to think. So this idea that, well, Pastor Becky, I'm totally fine with you totally indoctrinating these kids, but I don't like it when that indoctrination has its natural outcome. Okay, these are not very good arguments here. Let's see. Wow, okay, more comments. I mean, good, but I just didn't expect that many. Without political parties, you'd be in favor of some sort of council-led government or having a more balanced government due to... No, I'm just saying, even if we change nothing, just delete political parties. That's it. And you just vote based on... I would have no... Like, you would be banned from advertising. There would just be some websites, like a government-type website. You sign up, and you have, like, a list of topics or something, how do you feel about this, strongly this way, strongly whatever, and you just kind of answer it, and then you're candidate A, and that's it. There's no other information about you, there's no identifying information about you whatsoever, and you get like a list of, let's say 5, they're all like a table. Okay, what does candidate A think about topic A? What does candidate B think about topic A? Whatever, and then you just click on the one that you want to vote for. That's what I think we should do for voting. But we wouldn't even have to change the rest of the government. I just think that's a better way to do it. But I could be wrong. I might be missing something, but I just think that's a better way to do it. Let's see. I would love to discuss about political views. I think that's kind of my political view. But we could do that just in a separate kind of future video sort of thing, or in the Discord chat anytime. Yeah, we are making worldwide decisions. That's a good point. No, I'm pro-life, but we're pro-life. I'm not sure what you meant by that. I feel like one person in the chat is being kind of antagonistic and confrontational. I don't know who that would be. I thought we removed the trollish one. I don't know if you have changed your views or not, but you seem more mellow on your views now. I've changed some of my views. I understand more about the concept of cultural appropriation. I still believe that not everything needs to be labeled cultural appropriation, but I understand what it actually is, as opposed to this caricature of it where it's like, oh, you like to eat this food that's not in your culture, it's cultural appropriation. Like, that's kind of how I thought it was. Really, it's just when you say this is okay for this group to do it, but the group that originally did it, you demonize them for that. And it sounds weird, and it is weird, and it's not very common. That's the thing. It's not like this overarching, oh, we can't enjoy other cultures, and that's what I had misunderstood it as. So, for stuff like that, I understand more about the differences in feminism. I still definitely believe in egalitarianism, rights, for all people, that kind of thing. I think I'm just less excitable. I don't know. Calmer, I guess. I mean, I've been suffering with a lot of migraines, and I've learned that I can't get worked up because it'll trigger a migraine. Anytime I get worked up, it'll trigger a migraine. And I've got other stuff triggering migraines: sleeping too much, sleeping not enough, sitting too long, standing too long, lying down too long. It's too low air pressure, too high air pressure, it's too dry, it's too humid, there's clouds and there's not enough clouds, and all of this stuff will trigger migraines too. So I can't control the weather, but I can control my behavior. So that's the other reason I might seem more relaxed. Yeah. I don't have a uterus. Sorry, this jumped down. It's not my issue as an RN. I'm glad there are legal abortions. I just personally don't care. It's not my issue. I guess the idea is that, it is, but you are in a society. And so the stuff that other people are allowed to do or aren't allowed to do that would never affect you personally, since you don't have a uterus, those things will still affect you in a way because you share that society. So it is good to be educated on that. Yeah. Only nation with the free press. The Singaporeans with multicultural free press. Non-religion based government. Didn't get the memo. Yeah, exactly. Hi, Summer. I think we started about an hour ago. Comment about being antagonistic went whoosh over their head. Is it me? Because it went over my head. Let's see. Going here, looking down. I know you guys are talking about stuff to each other. I have so many fans, but I don't know it. Perhaps. I have lost, what was it? I've lost a few hundred followers, since we had, started the, doing more live streams and stuff. I've actually lost followers, so, and again, not a big deal. I'm not monetized, so, it's not like I'm losing money doing it. It's always just been a hobby. And, everybody's got different ways that they learn, different styles that they like. So my style's not for everybody, and that's okay. My style's for me. Do you guys like my style? That's good enough. Let's see. It's not that Lee has meddled. I think it's the secure and steady-handed rule of the wise Krampus that has fulfilled Lee's life. My goodness. You missed it. He was in here this morning. He was very bad. Okay. When I said Becky, we're pro-life to her kids, it was a typo. Okay. We're not pro-life, but we are pro-life. Yeah, exactly. We removed the troll, but someone seems to be drilling one guy in particular, kind of crowding out the chat a little. Again, I don't, you're going to have to be, sometimes I'm kind of dumb. You're going to have to be very direct. I've been awake since 3. Okay. Let's see. If I have to care about abortion, women have to care about auto mechanics. Well, as soon as people are making laws banning people from getting their cars fixed, but then also I've fixed my own cars, so I don't think that really works. That's saying like women can't. But I think bad analogy. I don't know if it was a joke, but it was a bad analogy, bad joke. Sorry. We all. I've swing and miss a lot of times. The advantage of political parties include the ability to develop ideas into policies. So how would not having political parties prevent us from developing ideas? How would we be unable to develop ideas into policies if we didn't have political parties? What you're describing about migraines sounds like what it's like to be forced to take antipsychotic drugs. I would never wish that on anyone, and I would never wish migraines on anyone, so perhaps we're in the same. Is the thing you had voting something like the ranked system? I've heard of the ranked system. I guess I should say I'm not sure that I understand it fully. If I understand it correctly, I think it's a good idea, but I don't know if I understand it correctly, so I'm not going to say, oh yeah, the rank system makes sense. But that's that. Let's see. We're going to stop here. Is my engagement up? We're going to stop here with that. Well, not stop, but like go back to this. Let me check. Because that was an interesting thing I was curious about. Yes. So when I was doing these, same amount of like advertising, posting and stuff, and I was making these, but the what's it called? Not the title card. the thumbnail, when it was just text on a screen, about 6 people would be concurrent viewers. Since I started putting my face on there, it went up. So it's always in like at least the 20s. Now it was 40, now it's 39. So I think that has made a difference, which is interesting. Let's see. What do you mean by less excitable? I explained it, Mohammed. Why are we going into that topic? Like, is there anything about me, about my demeanor, about my appearance that says I want you to make jokes like that? Like, is there any that I'm interested in that? Like, you know what I mean? Let's see. I agree with you about political parties. Doesn't just poison the general population, it poisons the well for those who govern. I agree. Direct democracy, we need a constitution, so like a republic. Yeah. The government you're describing, is that from Proudhoon or Bikunin, which I'm probably not pronouncing correctly because I've never heard of them. So you said, is that purposeful, or have you been thinking about different concepts a great deal? I haven't really been looking into a lot of political concepts. I just thought to myself, what do I feel about the topic? That's all. So I'm not saying I'm right, and that's why I said my idea might have a lot of flaws in it, and I just don't see that. If you guys can point them out, fine, that's cool, but that's just kind of what I had concluded. Like, if I were to recreate a nation, how would I set it up? That's all. When I put my face in the thumbnail, is my engagement goes up. That's a humble brag if I've ever heard one. I was worried it might come across that way. No, I think it's just when you see somebody's face, like a human face, you tend to want to engage with it. And there are people that will actually come in to talk about my appearance specifically, that they like it a lot or they hate it a lot, and I usually just kick those guys out. Like, you guys know I'm not here for the generic compliments. Let's see. Let's go ahead.
Schools.
I beg to differ with you. Christianity is important. We believe it's the most important religion in the world because it changes the lives of people.
But Becky, it's a
Okay, Christianity is important and it's the most important because it changes the lives of people. Really? Just Christianity does that? Like no other religion?
just brew. It's going to take over democracy.
I think democracy is the greatest political system on earth, but that's just it. They only get just what's on earth. And it,
Oh gosh. I think democracy is the greatest political system on earth, but that's it. It's only just what's on earth.
ultimately designed to destroy itself because you have to give everyone equal freedom, and ultimately that's going to destroy us. And so
What? So I think democracy, wow. Okay, so this was, I was just trying to figure it out and I realized what happened. All right, I'm very excited. So this is when we have the super like nationalist and super Pentecostal evangelical collide directly. And so she says that she believes that democracy is the greatest thing on earth. It's the best way to do it, but it will ultimately destroy us. So she has to be pro-America. But then this belief that everything man created is inherently sinful. That's why democracy is the best and the worst. Like it's great to have, and it's also of Satan, and it's going to destroy us. Oh, that's, to get that in one sentence, man, that is unprompted. You know what I mean? It's not like he was asking these questions designed to make her catch this kind of belief. This was just that's very fun to catch that in the wild. I'm very excited about that, as you guys can tell. Yeah, faces almost always increase engagement in thumbnails. That's why they're so common. Exactly. I mean, there's people that have deliberately these like really twisted, kind of comical looking faces, and they get engagement for that too. Confucian principles don't change the lives of people. Girl, tell me about it. Confucianism. Oh, do not recommend being raised under that system. Or any system. Let's see. equal freedom because you have the freedom, you can have the freedom to destroy your own freedom. Yeah, apparently. No, it's not freedom, it's democracy. And democracy is amazing because it's America, and America invented democracy, which is, I'm sure, something that Becky believes. And also, because it was invented by humans, it's of Satan. Like, everything is just, it's very Satan. I like that, chemo. It's all so Satan. I like that. Can we get that on a shirt? A little Satan doodle. Like, everything is so Satan. Okay. My entire family wishes this country was a theocracy. Do we have the same parents? Have the same family?
Perfect world is not going to be perfect until Jesus is truly Lord.
Becky, thanks for joining us.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, what else can you say? You know, Becky, go away. You know what I mean?
Man, the more I hear about this, I mean, it just gets crazier and crazier.
That's it. I love this. This is what Becky looks out at and says, yeah, this is the best America has to offer. This is the best that any country can do. Is this. I mean, urban planning be damned, you know. Urban planning is of Satan.
On this vote, the ayes are 58, the nays are 42. The President's nomination of Samuel A. Alito, Jr. of New Jersey to be an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States is confirmed.
I love America. I love the American lifestyle.
I think that was very shady. I think it was very shady of the editing team. Because earlier from like the first live stream, Pastor Becky had mentioned that your parents or whatever, other Christians are so greedy, they don't want to fast, they don't want to give up their Big Mac or something like that, while she's very clearly obese. And then the American lifestyle, and then it just shows a flag and a bunch of fast food. I feel like that... I mean, do you guys get that impression too? Or do you think that I'm just reading into it because I used to be obese, and so I'm like, you know, maybe it's, you know, I'm aware of that kind of stuff. Let's see. Kind of scroll back up to where we stopped. I feel like anarchy with a social structure of any kind, with division of labor, is a bit of an oxymoron. Okay, I don't know who that was in reference to. Becky, thanks for joining us. Moves his index finger quickly to disconnect the call. I will say, as somebody, I mean, obviously I'm not doing radio stuff or call-in stuff, but I appreciate when people join. Even if they're trolling, you know, it can sometimes be funny. We can sometimes turn it into something funny, or we can turn it into a learning experience. You know, I still appreciate it. Out of all the channels, all the things you could be doing at this exact moment, you found mine and came and said something. I mean, that's kind of interesting. I mean, that's kind of cool just to know that can even happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. Let's see. Didn't the Fields invent democracy? Also, America isn't a democracy. Right, they're not a democracy. And yeah, I think Becky probably believes that it was invented in America, though. Let's see. Sorry. Greeks, yeah. Well, the first, I mean, I don't know if it's the Greeks were the first to do it. It's the first documentation that we have, but I don't know if they were the first to do it, like in Athens, I think you might be referring to. We kind of lost our spot. Democracy has many flaws, but one major flaw is that if the state is full of morons and you're running toward a wall. Yeah, I think there was a criticism I read from a Chinese citizen after, I think it was after Trump was elected. It was just some people were being interviewed, and one of the persons said, the problem with democracy is that everybody gets the right to vote. Okay. I love the American lifestyle. Cuts to a KFC. Right. Isn't it just... Let's see. It's so deep, it's way above my pay grade. I don't know what to see. Like, well, what do you think? All of you that are outside of the United States, if somebody says the American lifestyle, what images come to your mind? You don't have to like formulate sentences or anything, just what images kind of come to mind. Everything invented by humans is inherently sinful. I agree. Human beings suck. I mean, they agree. Human beings suck. Pentecostal Christians, they hate themselves. They hate humans. Let's see. Urban planning be damned. That might well be a bumper sticker. A bumper sticker. Wouldn't that be great? Oh, that's perfection. When you're driving through that urban sprawl and somebody's like, urban planning be damned. Let's see. I love cheap editing, but I'll take it. I can't believe she insulted other people's food habits. That's the problem. We had kind of mentioned some stuff that Becky does is pretty similar to some people's behaviors that have narcissistic personality disorder. Obviously, I'm not saying that Becky has it. I don't know her personally. This is very edited. I can't diagnose anybody. You know what I mean? But there were some things like that. If that's the case, then that makes sense. Because narcissists think everybody thinks they're great. And everything they say makes perfect sense. So, let's see. Nothing has changed. You just need to wrap yourself with an American flag, hold a child and a Bible, and you can do anything in the U.S. Exactly. And Tess Holiday thinks she's anorexic. Yeah, we talked about that last time. Hamburger culture. Okay. Obesity, selfishness, American lifestyle, LA gangs, gun deaths, school shootings, and McDonald's. Wow. Yeah. It's interesting to see how, Americans see themselves as like, I think the best way to combine these two concepts of a introspection, like how they see themselves, not introspection, but how they see themselves and how other outsiders see them. It's probably in the, some of the people that had stormed the Capitol, but basically these really pro-gun kind of people that show up at these protests and they might hold a rifle or something. They're wearing outdated jelly bean camouflage. Jelly beans is the ones before the digital camouflage. And they're really obese. This idea that I'm gonna save the world and I'm like super cool, high speed, low drag, ultramarine or something, and then meanwhile the reality is like also visible. I think that kind of combines it pretty well. Yeah. Fast food pictures come to my head when I think of the U.S. Apparently for the editors too. Religion, guns, McDonald's, football. Gotta have football. That's true. I do like football. But then I found out that there's a lot of untreated traumatic brain injuries that happen, and now I don't support football anymore because nobody should go through that. That sucks. And then also like college football, they don't get paid. Just can't support it. I don't know why, but I think America is on the verge of some serious social or physical civil war. It's really frightening. Some of my students had asked me, what do you think will happen if President Trump gets reelected? This was back in like September or October. And I said, I'm not saying there's going to be a revolution, but I am saying that if we look at history and we look at the time right before a revolution happens, we do tick a lot of the boxes. So, let's see. All right, so we're going to go back into the vid.
The 21st century, I wake up every day excited about what I'm going to do.
Okay.
And at the same time, I look at this sick old world and I go, God, let's get out of here.
See, again, there's that argument. I love absolutely everything because America, 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 and I also hate absolutely everything because Satan, Satan, Satan. That's so interesting to just see that.
Knowing what I know, how do I not give my whole life to
Okay.
helping other people, children, teenagers, or adults, come to a saving knowledge of Jesus Christ? How can I
A
enjoy
saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. I've never heard it phrased that way. That's interesting.
heaven with the knowledge that I never told people that meant so much to me about Jesus? That is not a burden. It is the greatest joy of my life.
Okay. So, Becky might really believe she's genuinely helping people. I don't think I don't know enough about her to say that she's like a scam artist or anything. She doesn't give off that vibe to me. Her behavior that I've seen doesn't really show that, especially since the group she's quote unquote targeting, they don't have any money to give, right? So I don't think she's being she's lying about this. I don't think she's misrepresenting anything. I think she really believes that she's doing the right thing. But just as she understands that other people do this and indoctrinate children and they're doing it in a bad way, she should also ask, well, maybe, they believe as strongly as I do, but I think they're wrong and they think I'm wrong. So how do we know which one of us is correct? And a lot of times they'll say, well, because I have Jesus and there's no other religion where there's like forgiveness by just, crucify and all, just the stuff they think is very Christian specific. But yeah, I just wish she would take it like 2 steps further and just kind of think about why she thinks her indoctrination is okay. Looks like we lost the spot. Here we go. Canadian perspective, I only see U.S. as a country of division red and blue. Only extreme views are taken seriously, and by that you mean being talked about. I would say that's pretty accurate. Obesity plus vintage woodland camo is meant for ultimate concealment. Natural shapes are round, not bipedal and jagged. You don't look like a bush now, do you? Jim Bob, however. It could be, right? That's... I guess. I'm trying to think. Now, the way you're supposed to do the face paint and stuff, that really visually breaks it up. It's like how like a tiger or something works, which I'm sure you know, but just in case anybody knows. I think America can be best described with these 2 words. Extra large. Do we know Becky's denomination? I believe it's Pentecostal. Everything she's pretty much saying lines right up with it, and I think there was a mention of it being Pentecostal church. Let's see. Pastor Becky is why lunatics shouldn't have a platform. We really have to describe what we mean by lunatics, because usually when people use that word, they're talking about people with mental illness. And some people say that, if you have religion is a mental illness, and that's an insult to people with mental illnesses. Yeah. Rugby is better than American football for a multitude of reasons, including less, although still present, traumatic brain injury. Yeah, these guys don't even wear helmets, right? They also say he's the only God who resurrected, which is not true, right? Becky's too far down the rabbit hole. Don't think she can think objectively at this point, sadly. I think my friends used to say that about me. So I try not to decide when somebody is too far gone. But sometimes when you meet them at the moment, then you realize a fruitful conversation cannot be had. And you have to just accept that. You can't... the way that I like to phrase it is help requires consent. You cannot help someone or teach someone something without their consent. They have to agree to go along with it. You know what I mean? You can't force help on somebody. You can't force them to believe something if they're just not willing to listen. Does that mean that the person will never understand it? No. And it's definitely, not the best to say, well, I hope one day you grow up and see the light or something like that. Just say, hey, I don't think that... What I tend to do is, I think that, currently, it doesn't seem like a productive conversation can be had. So, I'm going to disconnect. You can definitely reply to this, but I if there's nothing particularly changing about your reply, I'm not going to reply back. Take care. That's it. Cause that's what I want. That's what I want people to not be mad that they had an encounter with me. I think she isn't intentionally fooling other people. She is a victim of indoctrination herself. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, people definitely thought that about me, says Summer, in regards to the too far gone. If the King James Bible was good enough for Jesus, then it's good enough for me. Apparently, I'm trying to remember where that quote came from. I forgot, but it wasn't as Like, it's always attributed to somebody else, but I don't think anybody actually said it. Yeah. It takes a psychopath to like another psychopath. I would disagree with that. Psychopaths, they are narcissistic by definition. And they're not going to like people that they don't like, and they don't care about that. So I don't think that. I think psychopaths, they are liked by people that are not psychopaths. They're very convincing and charming in a lot of cases. People tend to be critical of people who share the same characteristics, or less critical of people who share the same characteristics, and they view good, normal people as fake. What do you mean by normal, right? Because normal, if we're talking about the average, there's a lot of things that are normal or normalized, and they're not good in the sense of being conducive to human health or something. Even when you explain it logically, if they aren't willing to change their mind, they won't. Right. And you can't, you can't reason somebody out of a position they didn't reason themselves into or something. But again, you can't force somebody there. I like to change that old quote, which is, you can lead a horse to knowledge, but you can't make him think. And I don't mean that insultingly. It's just a reminder to yourself. You can't force people to think a certain way, no matter how much you feel that it's true. And you might be objectively correct. But if the person's just not willing to listen, they're just not willing to listen. And there's no reason to do that, yeah. I don't argue with my family much these days. In my 20s, I loved arguing all the... Yeah, same. Let's see. Oh man, I didn't see this. Well, welcome, Max. America is a melting pot that's melting. It's good.
The most religious nation in the world is India. The most irreligious nation in the world is Sweden. We are a nation of Indians ruled by Swedes. As Christians.
What? Hang on. The most religious nation in the world is India. Did that make sense to anybody? Let's see what else he said.
As Christians, you are the leaders. You speak for God. We care about our country. What I want to say...
Oh, okay. I thought it was that Christian radio person. So this is a televangelist, saying that we, America, we are a nation, we are a religious group that's ruled by non-religious groups, and we have to change that. I don't, it's a very strange way to phrase that, though.
We want to get our message out. We can boil it down. She said, you just boil your message down to single sentences. Let me give you some single sentences. Number one, it's a new day.
Okay, it's a new day. Anything else?
Number two.
Oh, no, okay. So it's a new day. Isn't it one of those truisms? Isn't that what they're called? When you just make a statement that's like, it's so... Nobody can argue with it, but it also doesn't even add anything to the conversation. Like, I'm drinking coffee. Okay, that's true, but what does that have to do with anything, right? Liberalism is dead. I don't think that's a true statement. I think there's plenty of liberals.
Number three.
The
majority of Americans are conservative.
Do you see how they're just lying, right? I mean, these are just lies. And while Pentecostals don't necessarily force you to only use a certain website or whatever, because I know that the Jehovah's Witnesses have jw.org, and you're supposed to use that for a lot of questions that you have about your religion. This kind of stuff is just accepted uncritically. And so when they say it, people just say, yes, I believe that, and that makes sense to me because everybody around me, everyone in my circle is conservative, and the people that are liberal that I know, they're few and far between. So they feel like the situation that they had kind of set up for themselves, their own friends and family, they think that is just a microcosm of society, and it's not. It's just not. Let's see. A psychopath is a lovely house designed to cave in on you after you open the front door. I don't know if I would describe a psychopath that way. Which, by the way, is updated to antisocial personality disorder, ASPD. But I just prefer to say psychopath because It's just shorter. I'm sorry. And a lot of people misunderstand antisocial when they really mean asocial. So it just, I don't know. But there's already so much confusion. Maybe we should just use the correct terms. I'm not sure. Look forward to the day we hear Krampus roar. Humans attack. Go forth for the glory of Krampus. I'm sure Krampus would make you a general. America was never a melting pot. It was a segregation pot. Yeah, maybe like a salad bar. Maybe like that, right? Everyone's kind of together, but they're separate. Maybe that would be a better way. Okay. Then thank you, Wounded Monk, for the rugby and TBI comments. Some Christians say they're not religious, as following Jesus is not a religion, right? It's a relationship. And religion cannot help you, so they say it's representing truth. I agree psychopaths are all about themselves, but they don't think other psychopaths are not too bad. They work better with other psychopaths if they can get what they want from people. I mean, they just work by getting what they want from other people. If that happens to be a psychopath, that's also their buddy that's helping them, like they own a business or something together, great. If they can convince someone who's not a psychopath to adopt sociopath behaviors, they'll do that. You know what I mean? I don't think they necessarily give that much of a damn, about it, from my understanding. But I could be wrong. But from my understanding, it's just more, what can I get out of this person, and not what is this person inherently. It's just what can I manipulate them to do. LDS missionaries visited me in the U.S. They said they only read from the Deseret Press. Yeah. Is it Deseret or Deseret? I think it's Deseret, right? What have I stumbled into? I don't know, Ultra Mega Jesus. I don't know. Let's see. Used the standard test for diagnosing psychopaths last on Trump. Wasn't fully blown, but scored pretty high. Yeah, and I mean, that's also assuming all his behaviors in public are the same in private and so on. Any major city will show different ethnic groups and cultures living together. They have their own neighborhoods, but most countries are like that. That's true. Let's see. When they're on a mission, they're required to limit their reading material. That's also true. I like how they show the car washing and the washing of the brain. Yeah, they kind of end this very interestingly. CEOs are mainly psychopaths. I don't like to shorten it to psychos. Psychopaths or sociopaths. Yeah, they are different, but very similar. Quality of debate has gone down in the... What's the WC? I'm sorry. Loads of people screaming at cross purposes. Normal people idolize psychopaths. Perhaps. Maybe, but they don't realize that's how they get that. Aren't psychopaths literally incapable of empathy while sociopaths aren't? Right. That's the reason they don't care. Because they can't. I think one of the... I forget which killer it was, but they said that taking apart a human body was as emotionally eventful for them as taking apart a desk. They just wanted to see how it worked. A sociopath learns these behaviors, and they learn to kind of crush their empathy due to upbringing, usually, yeah. They're usually high earners because they don't care about your feelings. Right. I would say a lot of MLMs, I would say they're probably, almost exclusively, probably headed by that type of person. Alrighty.
Number 4, you can count on us showing up and speaking out. And number 5,
okay.
Let the church rise.
Okay. So what? What am I supposed to get from that as a Christian, right? What do you get from that if you're there? It's one of those things where you just kind of make that generic statement. And I like to let the church rise, not let God's will be done. Interesting. Clapping. Cool. And that's it. We're going to stop it because it's music. That's the end. Okay? And it's kind of interesting, the end, it just says stop. So again, is it... I mean, the editing, it's interesting. But I like how they just kind of, they didn't have an interviewer asking them a bunch of gotcha kind of questions, or really, they just kind of let them talk. What do you think about this thing, and how do you feel about this other thing, and well, what about this person here, would you say to somebody like that? I like how they did that, because I have a hard time with the idea of censorship. I can't make a blanket statement about it, but I think in a lot of cases, allowing a person to speak their beliefs fully makes other people realize why they shouldn't go with that. But maybe I have too much faith. The stream is not over. No, we're gonna check on the Jesus camp after hours kind of thing. Let's see. Most functioning people would probably eat a gun very quickly if they had to be an Amazon CEO for such a month. Yeah, or such for a month, right? So, was it child abuse? Yes and no. Okay, this is Levi. What do you guys want? Do you want me to read it, or do you want me to skim it? That's up to you. While you're deciding, there are videos about this, but I was kind of interested in this one about a leader speaking out. I thought that would be interesting. Okay, this is the, I think it's the director's end time apostasy. I've got to be careful about that. Deleted Ted Haggard footage. Now that was something I was interested in. Yeah. Please read it. You have a good voice. Should I change, should I do characters? We should do that. I wish they did this kind of stuff at my school. That's okay. We have our school here. I think it's very fun. I like to have my students dissect things as well, as it's relevant, right? Let's see. Happy to watch videos. Yeah, I would like to watch the videos, but I would like to also have us do this article, because I think it's going to give us a lot of the answers about the kids specifically. But the video about the former leader, I was pretty interested when I saw that. Yeah, how fitting the end of their video is Spirit in the Sky, right? Ted Haggard, is he still preaching? I thought he was defrocked. Oh, that does not happen. I think that happens in the Catholic Church, but that doesn't happen with Pentecostals. Basically, you just kind of go away and then come back. What school are you a professor for? I'm not a professor. I am a teacher, and I don't divulge that information about where I work. Sorry. Let's see. Read it if it's not too long. I don't think it's too long. I just didn't know if you guys wanted to sit here and listen to me read. That's all. 10-year-old Andrew Summer Camp, with his shy demeanor and floppy blonde hair, mounts the stage of the Kids on Fire church camp and nervously tells the crowd that he's struggling with his belief in God. He'd spent days watching his fellow Christian campers weep uncontrollably, repenting and begging God's forgiveness, and he has a confession to share. I'm going to highlight these because it's easier for me to read. I just want to talk about belief in God. I've been having a hard time with it, he says, staring at the ground, scared and confused as the other kids look around at each other with anxiety in their eyes. To believe in God is so hard because you don't see him. You don't know much. You don't know him much. Sometimes I don't even believe what the Bible says. It makes me a faker. It makes me feel guilty and bad. It's one of several emotionally exhausting scenes in the 2006 documentary Jesus Camp. Over the course of its celebrated and contested life, Jesus Camp has become a Rorschach test for audiences. Some evangelicals see it as a fair representation of their culture, while secular, left-leaning audiences typically see it as an expose against malicious force of right-wing indoctrination, often walking away with one angry phrase on their lips: child abuse. I agree with this assessment. Like I said, they just kind of let them speak. And so because of that, everybody who's not part of that group sees it for what it is. And everyone who is part of the group thinks this is a great representation. They really let us get our message out. So it's very interesting how that happens. 10 years later, summer camp, which is probably Zomerkamp, right? But summer camp, yes, that's his real name, has abandoned evangelical Christianity, living with a group of spiritual seekers in Mount Shasta, California. That's a nice place. He split from the evangelical world, happening when his father came out as gay. He says he spent several years angry at the church, but has since discovered peace in Eastern mysticism, quantum mechanics, and psychotropic drugs. So summer camp became, what's his name? Oh my gosh. What's his name? Deepak Chopra. I was thinking Eli Whitney. I'm like, no, that's not the right name. Yeah, no. Okay. Eastern mysticism is not, you guys, it's just, no. Like, I think I had a video on that, but I have to kind of clean it up. But it's, there's this, like, rose-colored glasses, I guess, when people look at, oh, it's Eastern. It's not. No, it's still, like, terrible indoctrination, you know. Quantum mechanics, yeah, okay. Was it child abuse? Yes and no. He said in a recent interview about his time at the Kids on Fire church camp. Kids on Fire is like Holy Ghost fire, okay? Not like lighting kids on fire. But what a name. I think they have the best of intentions, but I see it as sick people trying to treat sick people. I would say sick people treating people who aren't sick and then infecting them and making them sick. It's their coping mechanism for figuring out why we're alive. I wouldn't trade that experience for anything, though, because it's allowed me at such a young age to question my existence. I think that's a good point. Levi O'Brien. This is Andrew Summercamp, by the way, this picture on the screen now. Levi O'Brien was 12 when he was featured on Jesus Camp, sporting an enormous rat tail. For those of you guys that don't know, his hair is very short, but he had that long piece of hair in the back. That is a rat tail. Oversized t-shirts, and an unusually confident demeanor. Unlike Sommerkamp, in the video, O'Brien was wildly enthusiastic about his faith, speaking passionately about how his life has been transformed by God. It's an intensity that continues in him today, which he applies to his job as a staff member of World Revival Ministries. Oh no. He says that people are often shocked that he's turned out to be a happy, healthy young man who wasn't traumatized by his experiences at Jesus Camp. I've been asked the same question hundreds of times by people from all over the world. Do you believe you are the way you are because of how you're raised? He says. Isn't everybody? And let's look at the outcome. I have peace of mind, I have drive, and purpose, and character. According to a child psychologist, Valerie Tirico, an outspoken critic of evangelical culture, many children of evangelical upbringing don't turn out so well. One of the problems with faith-based teaching is it teaches children to not trust their own reason and intuition, undermining their ability to have confidence in their own knowledge and ability to process information. Now, I know when we hear trusting somebody's own intuition or confidence in knowledge, we think, oh, well, don't we want to be skeptical and that sort of thing. What they're talking about here, I think it's best summed up in, I think it was that Richard Dawkins documentary, something about God, I forget. The God Delusion, I think it was. And the person said, if the Bible said that 2 + 2 = 5, I would start with the Bible is right and then try to figure out how it's right, kind of thing. That's what they mean by their own knowledge. Stuff that you know that's just true. True about yourself, true about your intentions, those kinds of things. For example, when I was questioning growing up in the church, I was trying to learn more about God. I wanted to learn more about God. And I believed it was right, and I believed that any question I asked would have an answer, and that answer would satisfy me, and that was great. But whenever I was asking these questions, eventually this would lead to, like, get thee behind me, Satan. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Demon of doubt, get out of this girl, and all of this stuff. And they made me really question my own intention. I thought I was just being a good Christian, but is that Satan? It's like you're gaslighting yourself, and they teach you to do that. Okay, so that's what we're talking about when they say not to trust your own knowledge. Or this idea that we shouldn't find stuff out. We shouldn't reason. God has a plan, mysterious ways, God's will, and just kind of leave it at that. You know, we don't need to bother ourselves with learning about the world because The world is going to end anyway. For many viewers, Jesus Camp was their first exposure to Pentecostal church services, where crying, screaming, dancing, speaking in tongues, and convulsions are as ritualistic as incense at a Catholic ceremony. Co-director of the film, Heidi Ewing, said that she disagreed with the teachings of the camp, but didn't feel the camp leaders were abusive. They're not doing anything illegal. That's not how I'd quantify abuse, but okay. And if you want to raise your children as liberal progressives to be amped about environmentalism and being pro-choice, you can do that, she said. Some of the arguments against the film were so knee-jerk, it made me realize the far left and far right have a lot in common. I would definitely agree with this. When I first saw Jesus Camp, that's one of the biggest things that prompted me to make a channel, so people could ask questions to somebody who wasn't going to try to convert them, but also to get rid of some of these misconceptions. There was a lot of really angry and kind of ugly responses to it that, that just as much as they criticize, so too should they criticize themselves, that kind of thing. In addition to the camp, the film captures an intimate portrayal of the children's lives at home, where every aspect of their day is wrapped up in evangelical beliefs. Their homeschool textbooks deny global warming and teach creationism. They listen to Christian music and right-wing talk radio, watch Christian movies, and pledge allegiance to a Christian flag. Activities included proselytizing to strangers at a bowling alley and protesting abortion outside the Supreme Court. Liberal audiences were outraged by the scene featuring Pastor Ted Haggard, leader of the National Association of Evangelicals and informal advisor to then-President George W. Bush, where he disparages homosexuality as a sin and then makes a joke about infidelity and blackmail into the camera. Serendipitously, Jesus Camp hit theaters at the exact time that Haggard was exposed as having a 3-year relationship with a male prostitute from whom he also purchased methamphetamine. Late-night political comedians like Jon Stewart and Bill Maher had a lot of fun with the clip, fueling the outrage and popularity of Jesus Camp among atheists. Director of the Kids on Fire Camp. Now, I should say, that shouldn't... fueling the outrage and popularity of Jesus Camp among atheists, that's kind of a poisoning of the well thing, right? This idea that, Ted Haggard is a hypocrite, therefore all of the teachings in this are wrong. No, we can't. That's a fallacy, right? It's a logical fallacy. We can explain how the teachings are harmful to kids or harmful to thought, how it's indoctrination, how some of it is just factually incorrect, but we can't say, aha, Ted Haggard's a hypocrite, therefore everything that evangelicals believe is wrong. So we don't want to do that. Is it easier? Sure, but do we want what is easy, or do we want what is correct and productive? Sorry, my throat's a bit dry. I have a coconut mocha that I made. Director of the Kids on Fire Camp and lead subject of the film, Becky Fisher, declined to speak with us for this story. Though in her memoir, Jesus Camp, My Story, she said that while the film sensationalized and overly politicized the camp, overall she was satisfied with it. Following the documentary's release, Fisher helped promote Jesus Camp along with an evangelical PR company, but soon found herself the target of a radical opposition to her ministry. My email box was spilling over with angry accusations, child abuse, brainwashing, indoctrinating children. You should be ashamed of yourself, she wrote. Fisher says she often feared for her safety when people would recognize her in public. See, now that's all terrible, right? That's terrible. Nobody should feel like they're going to be attacked or killed while they're in public because somebody disagrees with them or their beliefs. That's just not okay. Following the film's explosive popularity and an Academy Award nomination, the camp was vandalized, again, not okay, and Fisher was not allowed to rent it for her ministry again. Now, not only is this not okay, but this is fuel for Pentecostals. Evangelicals thrive off of this myth that they're being unfairly persecuted. Okay? So to do that kind of attack, yeah, they don't, like, they might feel like, oh, people attack us, but then they're like, we're doing a good job. Okay? that's the best thing. That's the best outcome she could have received. Because to her, it verifies the stuff in the Bible that she believes about the more active you are in Christianity, the more you'll be targeted. This idea of being martyred for Christ and stuff, that's a goal. And she thinks she's closer to achieving this goal because of what some people did out of their own anger. So that's, like, that doesn't help anything. Not only is it just illegal and you shouldn't have done that, especially because the camp was vandalized. You know, it wasn't like her house or something. It was the camp. It was this place that just allowed her to rent it. You know, we don't discriminate and anybody can rent it. You know, that kind of thing. They attack that. So very misdirected attack. And then on top of that, it just adds more evidence, quote unquote, that their Bible's right. You know. Oh God. For the first time in my life, I could truly relate to the Jewish people seeing how a Holocaust could have its embryonic beginnings, she wrote. Right? Then, okay. I didn't read that. I just read that. I just said that, didn't I? That's her persecution kind of, oh my gosh. While she no longer operates a church camp, Fisher continues to provide religious instruction to children through her company, Kids Ministry International. By the end of our conversation, Summercamp said that he didn't think he was abused. He was extremely critical of evangelicals, and at one point called Becky Fisher a terrible effing person who is fueled by spiritual suffering of other people. But he said he had chosen to have love for her and was even grateful for the experience of Jesus Camp. They showed us what it meant to feel really deep emotions for life, for God, he said. Some people would say that it was all fake, but when I look back at it, our belief in it made it real. It really taught me the power of belief. Okay. I mean, that's an interesting take. For me, I think it sort of teaches you that you're, you know, the power of belief, which is something I mentioned about how people fall down when they are touched, not because they're faking it, but because they hype themselves up to the point. But it's also helped me with just, you know, talking about the subject to either communicate it to people who aren't familiar or to let people who are familiar know that they're not alone. So I think it's valuable in that case too. It's like a shared experience thing. Let's see what you guys have said about this. My pseudoscience class talked about Rorschach tests a lot, right? We had to discuss what the Rorschach test is and why, and I was just like asking the students, like, okay, do you guys, what are some criticisms that you can just think of for this? And they just got them all. All right, good job, guys. Let's see. Ted Haggard. Let's see. Emotional intelligence unfolds into existential acceptance. Haven't heard that. Kids on Fire. It's such a strong name. I know, right? The unpredictable fears the expansion of silence. Are we using the Deepak Chopra generator? The physical world differentiates into progressive expansion of self-knowledge. Okay, it's an actual quote. Oh no, there's a Deepak Chopra quote generator. It just randomly comes up with this stuff, and it sounds exactly the same. So he's using transcendental meditation, taking hashish, and reading science news. Perhaps, I don't think that his reaction is unusual. I don't. If you leave other types of Christianity, I think it's a little easier to just kind of go away. But with the type of, I guess what he was saying, that like deep emotions for life thing, that it really forces you to feel, you end up having this belief that there's something else in the universe, or there's something else, like we're all connected in some way, not just humans, but everything. There's like an energy and whatever. So it's very easy for Pentecostals to go into branching out into stuff like different types of paganism, pantheism, animism. Excuse me. So that is, yeah, that's what I I think that he's just in that level of it. Is he going to stay there? I don't know. But I think that's where he's at right now. And I don't think it's unusual. Yeah. Let's see. Objective truths and subjective truths. Did you want to add anything else to that? Let's see. I didn't have a choice. I got the fear of God beat into me on a nightly basis. Sorry to hear that. This just helps the martyr complex. Right. Speaking of fallacies, I feel like we should start teaching logical fallacies as a high school required course. Would stop a lot of arguments and attacks on others. I definitely, we talk about logical fallacies in like every one of my classes. And, you know, we explained it's great to discuss things and to disagree with people and to figure out, you know, who's got more facts on their side and stuff. That's great. But then I give them some examples of something that would be like a logical fallacy, and they get it. You know, we're not going too in depth. We're not using all the mathematical symbols and stuff. But it's just kind of as it comes up, you know, I bring up, okay, by the way, we still see this in other things and you guys might encounter it, blah, blah, blah. This is what it's called. This is why it's not logical. We want to make sure we make, you know, why do we want to think logically? And I ask them those questions. And so, you know, they're great. I feel like so many people, they really don't appreciate the level of intelligence that children and teenagers can really be capable of. I think they just think because they think differently, they're not as developed, or they have a different attention span, or they're interested in stuff that I'm not interested in. We can't have any common ground. They're just being dumb or something like that. I don't think that at all. I think if you can break it down in a way that is relevant and interesting to them, then they will get it. For those that will pursue that further, that just depends on their personality. But just everybody, I think, can grasp these basic concepts. Let's see. When these attacks happen, they also quote the following. Know this also, that in the end times, perilous times await. Men will be lovers of themselves more than lovers of God. Yes, earthquakes and famine and war. The power of thought and what cognitive dissonance is within the brain. That's true. I thought you were talking about a different thing about subjective truths. Christians think being disagreed with is persecution. Yes. This type of Christian think that. Yes. And also, you cannot legislate your belief. They also think that's a type of persecution. Let's see. So do Muslims. I think not even that necessarily. Even just... I feel like if you said something like, I don't believe in Jesus, then a Christian would be like, oh, it's because of Satan and whatever. Like a fundamentalist Christian would be like, oh, you're just infected with demons, you know. But I feel like for a more fundamentalist Muslim, they kind of go into like, oh, you offended me. You cannot offend religious sensibilities. Like they take it as an attack, whereas a fundamentalist Christian takes it as proof of like a sick world. So I think that's kind of an interesting difference. Always blame Satan. Peter Popoff, it was Satan. Ted Haggard, Satan again. Yes, it's always Satan. Let's see. Guilt by association is another one. It sounds to me like something a neo-Nazi would say. Stuff like that. Oof. Calling people out. If everyone just universally recognized that religion was just a business, the world would be a better place. Well, I mean, religion can be made into a business, but I don't think religion itself is a business. 10 years ago, I was with the left attacking Christians. Now I'm with the Christians attacking the left. It's been a long 10 years. I'd be interested in discussing it with you if you want to message me on the Discord. We can maybe have a group chat just about how, you know, your thoughts have changed. And, you know, we can challenge them. I can ask you, you know, questions to challenge you. Or you can just talk about, you know, this is my thinking and this is how it's changed, and just to talk about it if you don't want to have a debate. I mean, it wouldn't be a debate. I don't like debates. I don't like the idea of you win because you're more convincing based on the people that are watching. You know, it's not, you could win a debate and still be factually wrong. So I don't like debates, and I don't like how stressful they are. I don't like that. But yeah, that is an open invitation. To any of you, if you guys want to talk about how, you know, your lives have changed. Lives, not lives. I hope for a day when people at least have a good model of reality to start with, then branch out in some kookiness to make life interesting. Yeah, no, that sounds great, Sophist. I don't, you know, I think that it would be great to have you in the Discord. It's always good to have other people's opinions. You know what I mean? And even if people don't ultimately agree with you religiously, or in religious terms, they, you know, you might be able to make them think in different ways or challenge them in ways that they haven't been challenged before, and I think that's great. Let's see. Not tonight. Oh yeah, no. I'm just giving you that so you can just shoot me a message like, hey, it's Sophist from the live stream, because I'm gonna take a nap after this. So, are there ever voice chat discussions in the Discord? I feel it's easier for me to voice my ideas that way. I feel like if you guys would like to have them, you can. I would like to make some people like mods and stuff, but we can talk about that there. I do want to touch on this. I don't know what the deleted footage is. I guess we can just watch a little bit of it. Because, I mean, what else is it other than Ted Haggard being Ted Haggard? You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to give us anything of real value to chew on. Does that make sense? You know, oh, we already know Ted Haggard is kind of you know, he's a very inflammatory individual, and then there's these deleted scenes. If it's just going to be more of him being inflammatory, we don't have to watch it. So I do want to watch what the other pastor, that earlier video up in the scrolling up, but just to see his sermon, the whole thing for 3 minutes.
And then the third item that's in there is Aaron's rod that budded.
Okay, I'm sorry. You guys know why I'm laughing. That is, again, because there was no lead up. And the last thing we mentioned about him, and then he says, the third thing that's in there is Aaron's rod. Aaron's rod, you say? Okay. People had no idea that you were into this, you say.
Now, this is really interesting, everybody, because Aaron's rod that budded is the rod that Aaron had.
Okay.
The other leaders had rods, but Aaron's rod, it's a walking stick is what it is.
Okay.
All right? And so, but Aaron's rod, are you getting some good footage here?
Oh, is this why? Is this what it is, like a sidestep from his sermon?
You know, with this thing, can I play with that a little bit?
I guess.
I was watching you. Now, will it float on its own?
Jeez, you... Again, we're going to make this minor appropriate. I just...
Oh, is this cool or what? All right, let me do it.
Okay.
Oh, I see. Well, I was watching you do this with Ross. Here, I won't.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is... It's too funny. This is why I didn't want to laugh. Oh. Oh my gosh. Like I said, I'm still getting over this cold. Those are the coughs of, like, production. They're not sick coughs. They're cleaning it out coughs. Oh. He's making... Oh my goodness. You guys better be being good in the comments section.
I thought you're getting some great footage of Ross Parsley. Did you all notice him getting that footage of Ross? I'll bet that's going to be fabulous. Okay, now all of you. Let me tell you. Okay.
Is this it?
No? You want me to chase you?
Well, no wonder this was deleted.
So what's your name? Are you enjoying getting some footage here today, Andrew? Is this interesting to you? Is this like your church? Do you go to church? You go to church in England. Oh, do you go to the Anglican church? Catholic church. This is just like the Catholic church.
That was a pretty good joke, actually.
Yeah! Are we all Catholics? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that was a pretty good joke.
See, that got you excited. See, if I talk about the Catholic Church, you get all excited and run around. That's incredible.
This is such a weird thing.
Yeah, we all love going to the Catholic Church too, don't we? Every time we go to England, we go to the Catholic Church.
I'm sorry. This is hilarious. This is actually hilarious. I don't. At first, I was like, oh, this is why they deleted it. They should have kept this in. This was funny.
It's really not a lie. It's kind of a joke. And I'm trying to get all my jokes in because tonight I'm preaching online.
Okay.
And they're all innocent lies we all tell our kids all the time.
Okay.
You know, like, you can be what you want to be. Oh, really? I want to be president. You're never going to be president. So, all right. So, anyway, I'm going to go ahead. I'm working on Aaron's Rod the Budded.
Aaron's Rod the Budded.
Rod that budded.
That budded.
It's several different words. I mean, it was an old stick, an old dry stick, and it came to life.
It came to life. You guys, this is not helping. An old dry stick that came to life.
Story, you'll love it. Yeah.
Do you think that might have been what they meant? Like maybe that was a euphemism or something.
Is that enough? All right, thanks.
Okay, great. Okay.
I'll tell you, this is a crazy church. And now, tell me, have you ever done this in the Catholic Church? I wonder what the priest would do.
Yeah, I do wonder what the priest would do.
Probably serve communion. That's what priests do, isn't it? Yes. They cheat, though. Everything they say is written in advance. Thousands of years ago.
These are pretty funny church jokes. You gotta admit. They're pretty funny. I think it's pretty funny.
Do you feel self-conscious? You don't need to.
Yeah, this is nothing like I had expected. Because people were talking about how inflammatory. I think this is funny. I can see why they took it out. I guess it's not really necessary. I think that's pretty funny. It's pretty funny stuff. Okay. Benny Hinn is straight scary, not joking. Yeah, no, I attended a Benny Hinn thing. My grandma was there. I think I want to do something on faith healing about that. It's still a weird exchange. I think it's funny. But no, I think he's using it sarcastically. He's like, oh yeah, we're Catholic. Every time we go to England, and that's another joke. Every time we go to England, we all go to the Catholic Church, knowing that most Americans don't travel outside of their state, let alone the U.S. So, like, that whole thing was just, it was sarcasm, but it was also shady against Americans. I mean, that was but I guess we found out why this boy can throw shade. So, yeah. Yeah, Pentecostals are very anti-Catholic. So it's just a joke. And Aaron's Rod came to life. Yeah, exactly. So, interesting stuff. All right, so we can check out this last thing, and then I'm gonna go. We'll see what he has to say.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Rock Norad, and
Why do these people got cool names? Rock Norad.
I attended Jesus Camp back in about 2003, I believe.
Okay. Are you a leader, though?
Anyway, I just thought I would
Let me
show
turn this
you.
on.
I've got degrees.
Okay.
3 of them.
That's good.
1, 2.
Okay.
Well, actually 4.
Nice.
There's
I can't read, like,
University.
what they...
And there's my other one from Trinity.
I wish we could see what the degree is in. I can't see it. Hopefully he'll tell us.
Notice that Trinity.
It's like zooming in.
See it.
Okay. Oh, Tim.
wait,
Well, wait,
that's
why does he
North.
say he's Rock? His name's Timothy Norad.
Coda.
Ellendale, North Dakota.
This is just like flying around
You
here.
can see that.
Associates in music performance. Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
anyway,
I mean,
am
not
now
bad.
an atheist. And
Oh.
I am absolutely
Okay.
convinced that things like Jesus Camp and just religion in general is definitely, they utilize brainwashing, mind control techniques.
I wonder if he's still available. Wouldn't it be? Oh, it's April 2020. Tim Norad. Do you think? Let's ask him. Let's ask him if he'll come on and have a chat. Right? Wouldn't that be fun? What do you guys think? I mean, yeah, right. That's not crazy. That's not just like, oh, you didn't get enough sleep and now you got weird thoughts. Like that makes sense. Okay. There's a second meaning to the word rod. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I totally lost my composure. But it's the same thing you do in school. Sometimes you just, and you can't say it. You just can't. And some of the students, for some reason, they know, and they will laugh, and I just tell them don't say anything. And then we just try not to laugh. Okay, so not crazy to just see if this guy wants to chat with us. Cool.
In all fairness, brainwashing, mind control, psychology stuff is used in a lot of different places.
That's
it's used
true.
In politics, it's used in businesses, it's used in multi-level marketing schemes, it's used in the military, which I was also in the military.
We gotta get this guy.
I'm an Air Force veteran.
Oh, never mind. Sorry. We don't want the Air Force. Just kidding. Let's try to contact him.
I can actually tell you what some of the techniques are. First of all, number one.
You know what? I don't want to spoil it. If we can get him on, cool. If not, we can watch this video later. Obviously, you guys can watch this video by yourself. But I think it'd be really, really cool to just like have this guy on if he wants to join us. So I will message him. Yeah, Rock. That's great. Timothy's Christian name, maybe? I don't know, but that's better. I like the Rock. Okay. Yeah. So we will talk about it. That was years ago, but I recognize the cabins and the lady preacher who read the thing. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So he was not at the Jesus camp that we saw. But he was at one of the Jesus camps that was there. That's interesting. That's great. Yeah. Let's see if we can get him on. And I kind of want to take a nap. So we'll do that. Chair Force, exactly. Okay. Lee has a strict no Top Gun policy. That was the Navy, actually. Slight Air Force slander. I know. Gotta love it. Let's see. G-Man was cool. So maybe this guy would be chill too. Well, this guy is no longer Christian. G-Man is still Christian, as far as I know. And I need to touch base with him because the messaging system that we had used, I had to update something. So, Assemblies of God ordained. Oof, he's our bread and butter, some low calorie bread and butter. Let's see. Yeah, let's go check it out. So I'll message him so I don't forget because I will forget, and then I'll message G-Man so I don't forget because I will forget. G-Man agreed, but we just didn't figure out what we were going to talk about specifically. He just wanted to be prepared and just, of course, just basic respect from everybody and stuff. I told him that, the channel now, there's, we gotta keep it minor friendly, non-inflammatory, we don't want to be jerks, we want to learn. It's a learning channel kind of thing. Yeah, no, I didn't have G-Man on. We had talked about it. I don't know if he's still posting necessarily. I'm not sure. I'm not getting notifications if he is. I only had contacted him on another messaging app, so we were just chatting on that. So we were chatting outside of YouTube. I don't know if he still does stuff with YouTube. But yeah. Have a good cat nap. Yeah, if my cats will let me nap. All right. The measures of brainwashing techniques still being used in the West today. Maybe we can check those out as well with that thing. So I'm gonna just keep that highlighted, put it into the tab so we just have it right here, and then just all right, y'all. Thank you guys for joining me and for still being here after I grossed you out with that coughs. Okay. But yeah, if you guys could find any other people that might be interested in, doing a chat or something, shoot them a link to the Discord. Let me know how to get a hold of them, and see if we can do some of those. I think it might be fun to do just different interviews and just kind of let's see what people believe. Not to. I mean, of course, it's good to question and challenge, but that wouldn't necessarily be the point. It's just for people to say, these are my beliefs, and this is why. Okay, and we could kind of ask some follow-up questions and stuff, but I think it'd be more valuable just to hear what people think, as opposed to try to get into an argument, Anyway, see you guys later. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that, Hamid, to catch a shiny bird today. That is the hope. So, alrighty, see you guys later. Adios, and goodbye.